Lionel, is that you?
There, I think I got it. Tom, are you here?
Oh, he's on mute.
Oh, Tom's on mute. Well, Kelly, you can help me.
No,
or you know what?
He's going to plug in.
Why did he unplug?
I don't know.
This is very poorly run podcast at this point.
No wonder he wasn't answering me.
Oh, he's just left.
No, he's still here.
Well, why doesn't he say something?
He is. There we go. We just heard him. Wow. This particular part, we're doing an interview. Yep, we can hear you.
What are you doing?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Why couldn't we hear you a few seconds ago?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay. It's all, you know what? We should have Andy Zimmerman here. He's an electronics whiz. He could fix it up for us.
Yeah.
He probably could have figured that out in a heartbeat for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He might even be help Buzz with his problem too.
Yeah.
He can also probably launch my laptop or launch my computer off the deck of an aircraft carrier on the steam catapult.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be a fun activity for Tom Stock 2024.
Yeah.
The Queso Cowboys birthday roundup. We could launch things. We could have a distance competition off of one of the catapults
over the shed and into what's God's house.
Right.
And we could do it down at a waterfront in Memphis.
Right.
Well, those catapults will take a Tomcat from 0 to 200 in less than a second and a half.
Wow. Is that how fast they're going? Is 200 miles an hour?
Yeah, when they sling it off the end of that ship.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, they're going 200 off the end of the ship, eh? Wow, that's pretty cool. So, okay. Go ahead.
They go to Zone 5 Afterburner immediately so that they can have all the power they need to get out of there.
Keep going. All right, so the voices you hear are Kelly, the modeler simply known as Kelly. The Queso Cowboy, who is now feverishly working away on preparations for Tom Stock 2024, the Queso Cowboys birthday roundup.
He's also working. Hey, he's also going to be at NERPM. Excuse me.
I am.
Oh, great. Well, yeah, he's going to be at NERPM, which was actually ended yesterday.
Yep.
So there you go. How was it?
It was awesome. I had my clinic, which was really well attended, and I displayed my XLL 60-foot auto parts boxcar.
Good for you. So you took something to display.
Since you twisted my arm and wouldn't let me go unless I took something to display.
There you go.
There you
go. And how did you enjoy dinner?
Dinner was awesome.
Yeah. I appreciate you paying for mine, too.
Well, I had a little bit of money left over after the registration. What the heck?
So and then the third voice is Andy Zimmerman, who technically, this is the first time you've ever heard Andy Zimmerman's voice on the podcast. Because today is Monday, June the 19th. So this is the first time anybody's ever heard Andy's voice on the podcast. Say hey, Andy.
Hey, Andy.
Attaboy. And Andy Zimmerman is our official flight deck. What do you call the flight deck guy?
Flight deck troubleshooter?
Yeah, the flight deck troubleshooter. He's on the SS AML Nation. He's the flight deck troubleshooter. So the reason I got you guys here is this is a really peculiar. It's not peculiar. But it's, me and Bruce did this interview with a fella named Alan Keller.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, wow. I was you'll hear through the whole interview that I was a complete goober. I just was a complete fanboy. I couldn't stop asking goofy questions and I wanted him, but Alan was like, he had better places to be, but he enjoyed it. But it was kind of like, I don't think he really understood why anybody was listening to us. I don't know what it was, but I
can imagine. I mean, honestly, if I were there, it would be very difficult for me not to be a total fanboy. So I get it.
Yeah. The thing that I kept saying, I actually said to him at one point in the podcast, I said, "You're Alan Keller. You're Alan Keller, for crying out loud." And then his internet cut out. So then it was just me and Bruce. After about 15 minutes, his internet cuts out. So then it's just me and Bruce talking. And I didn't turn the recorder off because I thought, well, if nothing else, this will be a good segment for Variety Hour. And then after about 10 minutes, Alan comes back on and he starts talking. And I said, "Are you back?" And he goes, "Yeah." And I said, "Could you hear us talking?" He said, "Yeah, I could hear you, but you couldn't hear me." So then I say, "So did you hear me say that I'm being just a complete goober?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, I heard that."
Oh man.
But he has so many, it feels like he's like, he started making model railroad videos in 1981 with model railroaders. That's when he started with them. And he made 13 with them, and he made another 70 on his own. And I kept saying saying to him, like, you recorded model railroading history.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say, "So what about this layout?" "Oh yeah, that guy." And I'm just like, he's naming the names of, and I understand. I guess I started to understand after I listened to the podcast, which Alan was great, Bruce was great. I was a complete goober. I was just a total friggin' goober.
But when you think about it, though, I mean, you're absolutely right. What he was doing was recording history, because if you take a step back and think about it, everything we do in the hobby is transitory, because it's highly likely that the layouts we build and everything that we do is not necessarily going to live on after us in that state. Parts of things may be divided up and sold and things like that, but it's extremely rare when somebody will take a layout lock, stock, and barrel, and keep it going. So a lot of the layouts that he documented are no longer around. I mean, you think about Harold Werthwein's Erie, most recently, Dick Elwell and the Hoosick Valley. A lot of these layouts are gone. So what he did was a valuable thing to document the history of the hobby at the time that he was doing it. It's really an important endeavor.
And he was so good at it. Like, he used to do these interviews with each person. And I mean, I can remember being stuck to the TV watching these. I used to have a VCR and TV set up in my workshop, and I'd have these things going off on the corner, and it'd be Alan McClellan, and it'd be the who's who of the hobby. And you just, and he literally did it for 30 years. 30 plus years, 32, 33 years, he made these videos. And it's like, and I'm sitting there and all I can say to him, "You're Alan Keller." And he's like, "Get away from me, kid. You're bothering me."
Well, that's kind of how I felt the first time I talked to you, Lionel.
What, get away from me, kid?
You're Lionel Strang.
Yeah.
You're the guy that was on the cover of the February 1994 Model Railroader.
There you go. That's true. Without any pants. No, that was a different one. But anyways.
That's when you broke into the...
What was that?
I was going to say, that's when you broke into the NMRA, the executive meeting. You weren't wearing pants.
Yeah. No, I was wearing pants. Yeah, I was wearing...
Oh, were you there for that, Andy?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
I was sitting right there, covering my face, trying not to laugh. Well, Nick was out there filming it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I annoyed some people.
Oh, just a couple.
Yeah.
Just a couple.
A couple, yeah. It looked like there was more than a couple of guys that were annoyed.
Oh, man.
I could say Gordy had a smile on his face, and John Doring and those guys.
Well, he and I were looking at each other. We were trying not to laugh. So we're trying to keep a good, keep that executive.
Well, and cut me a break. I'm walking around and Michelle says, "Oh, they're having the executive meeting." "Oh, where's that?" "Right over there." "Well, let's go on over there."
Let's go on.
And in the room he burst.
Yep.
So anyways, I've got you guys here to help me introduce this particular, this is a segment, and it's Alan Keller, and we got to get him back on the show again. I basically constantly annoyed him because I was getting him a headset, and then we had to try the headset, and I think by the time we finally got around to doing the interview, he's thinking, who is this guy and why is he bothering me? And yet we'd met years before. But this is I think this is one of the fun parts of the hobby is, I know you guys can't really get a grip on this, but I would say talking to Kelly, talking to the Queso Cowboy, years and years from now, this is going to be stuff where they can go, yeah, that was the guy that had the layout in his barn, or that was Kelly, like this stuff where we record all this stuff. Yeah, it's all Kelly's fault. The hobby went into the toilet, and it's all Kelly's fault. But anyways, and while we were talking about it, we never mentioned Rapido trains.
Your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
The thing that made those videos work so well was that Alan Keller is an avid model railroader. Like he was heavily involved in the NMRA, and you'll hear all that as we go through the thing. But everybody that's listening right now, try to just be patient because, yes, I agree. I was a complete goober through in this. It was like if I'd met Wayne Gretzky, had lunch with Wayne Gretzky. Someday I'll tell you my Don Adams. Remember the show Get Smart? I met him once. I had a personal... I knew somebody that knew him, and I had a personal meeting with Don Adams or Get Smart and Maxwell Smart, and I was a complete goober there too. I actually didn't really. It was like the time I met Rod Stewart. I was a complete goober then too.
Noticing a pattern.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's it. We're going to go listen to Alan Keller now. Everybody's going to enjoy this, I'm positive, because it's fascinating to listen to this man talk about. He recorded the history of model railroading through the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s.
As it happened.
And Andy, would you like to try this one, seeing as how this is your first time ever on the podcast?
Oh, Lord.
Do you know what to say? Do you know what to say? We're going to go from the introduction. We're going to go from one segment to another. Any idea what
you tell me what to say?
No, we can't tell you. It's got to be natural.
He's not on Patreon. Are you on Patreon?
Yeah, he's on Patreon.
Oh, you should know. You should know then. That the variety show is usually on Patreon, isn't it?
Yeah, a lot of times. Sometimes the variety show bounces back and forth. All right, you're an old hat, Kelly. You do it.
Oh, there he goes. Right. Can you see it, Andy? It has to do with something that goes underground.
And I'm growing old here, buddy. My days are numbered.
What did I say? Subway chimes?
Well, that's part. In the case, so can you
go? I was giving you time to prep. Subway chimes, go.
Well, now you got to say it with enthusiasm.
Okay. Subway chimes, go.
That's good.
Bruce?
Lionel?
Bruce?
Lionel.
Can you tell me if this is the first podcast since the last podcast?
Let me check the board, the notebook, the filing guide. Yes, it is the first podcast since the last podcast.
Okay, Bruce, I'm going to need your help today.
Okay.
Because I am convinced with this guest that we have on the show today, I am convinced I'm going to make a complete fool of myself.
Okay.
I won't let you.
You're not in the studio yet, Alan.
Oh, okay.
We're still introducing you. See, already I'm screwing up. So I'm so excited to be talking to our guest, who you just heard, Mr. Alan Keller, of the famous Alan Keller videos, of which I believe there is over 60. How many videos were there, Alan?
Oh, well, actually 70, but 67 layout tours.
Oh, really? And there was like 3 that weren't layout tours?
Yeah. There were 3 additionals. Actually 4.
Can you just scratch your mic there? I'm not sure you're on your mic.
It's right here. I can turn the volume up. I need it up.
No, I don't think your mic. I don't think you're speaking through your mic. I think you're speaking through your computer right now. I really do. Can you just scratch it?
1, 2. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Yeah,
1, 2.
we're not. I don't hear any scratching on the mic part.
USB audio device.
There it goes. There it goes.
Okay, that's what I hit. Okay.
Yeah, now you're going through your.
I did it the other day when we did the test thing, but whatever. Okay.
Well, now it's working perfect.
Good.
So you did 70 videos?
Well, yeah. 3 of them were scenery videos that were compilations from the first 40 videos that I did. So they were half hour on how to do different scenery techniques.
All right.
And those sold. So anyway, there was 70 or 71.
Wow.
Now, so the scenery ones, you took various clips from some of the layout owners you talked to and put them together?
Yes.
Excellent.
So anyways, Alan and Bruce. So this episode, I'm going to make a complete fool of myself because I'm so excited to talk to Mr. Keller because I knew him from Model Railroader years ago. He made all those model railroad videos that became a huge part of every model railroader. So many people have Alan Keller videos.
Yeah, they were on PBS forever.
Were they really?
Yeah, all over PBS. Chicago station broadcast them forever.
Yeah, I mean they were incredible, and they were done so professionally. You had a career in broadcasting, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that's what I did before I got there to Model Railroader. Yeah, I was in television for years.
Like in front of the camera or behind?
Both. I did a little bit of everything. I started off as a cameraman, an audio man, and then moved on camera and several different places. And then I was news director at a TV station, president of Society of Professional Journalists in East Tennessee 40 years ago. So I've done a lot of stuff.
You sure have. Wow. Do you have any? Bruce's podcast is going to be all over the place.
Can I actually? Or which channel are we on with this one?
We were on the free channel, but you know what? Okay. We'll look after that.
We'll do an intro later.
Yeah, we'll do an intro later. We'll look after that piece of business later.
Yes.
Because Alan, I am so excited to talk to you about this. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast.
Well, thank you. It's awful nice of you.
Well, it's awful nice of you to be on with us. Because
I'm just sorry we're so late, but wasn't anything I do about it.
Well, exactly.
The internet went out. I had no phone, no nothing.
Yeah, I know. I tried to call a couple. Yeah.
Well, I know. I tried to call you on my cell phone, which I don't ever use, and it came. It wouldn't let me call you. The 704 number, whatever it was, said you're not accepting calls or something to that effect.
Yeah. And when I was calling you, it wasn't working. And anyways, we're here now. We're here now. You got the mic working. This is going to be great.
Okay, let's hit it. Let's hit it and go.
We're doing it. We're doing it right now. This is it, man. So, okay, I'm going to ask you this. This is one of the first. How did you get involved with Model Railroader?
I saw an ad in Model Railroader magazine and answered the ad. They were looking for somebody to do their video production. This was in November of 1981. And as usual, I read through the articles first. That was my format for looking at Model Railroader. And later, last thing I would do, I'd go page by page and look at all the ads. And this ad was a classified ad. So I got to it probably. It was in December that I responded to the ad, probably. And anyway, started work there at the beginning of March into February.
So it was as like the beginning of 1982 is when you started.
That's correct.
See, I don't remember it being that long ago. Do you, Bruce?
Wow. No, yeah. I'm surprised it's that long ago. But
I'm an old guy, boys.
Yeah. I would have. For some reason or other, I had it stuck in my head that it was the 90s. But man,
well, that's when I went out on my own, doing my own stuff. But when I worked for Model Railroader, it was in the 80s.
And did the layout videos come before, like when you were still at Model Railroader?
Model Railroader video layout tour 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, all that was done there. Yes.
And how many of the tours did you do when you were still at? Like, were any of the tours done after you left MR?
No, I didn't do any for them after I left. No, I mean I did my own later, but I didn't do any for them. I did 13 videos for Model Railroader.
And then you did another 55-ish roughly on your own.
Well, it's 67, on my own, or 70, if you want to call it that.
Oh, 70
On my
were
own,
on.
yeah.
Oh, 70 were on your own, and 13
Yeah,
were. Wow.
Yes, roughly, yes.
Holy.
So I saw a lot of layouts over the years, and
Wow. Yeah.
I would say, well, I didn't steal anything from them. I just borrowed their pre-tested ideas,
and
when I would put something on my layout.
Yeah, exactly. And you are a model railroader, right?
Oh my word, goodness, yes. Have been since serious since 1968. Yeah, very serious.
And so, like, you started in like everybody else when you're in your teen years, or like that.
Well, no, I was an adult when I got back into it. I had a layout as a kid, and I got a American Flyer when I was a child, and then didn't fiddle with anything until later, and I got into HO and built the boys. What was the Scout magazine, Boys Life? They had a series in there about building a layout, and I built that layout when I was 13 or 12 or 13 or something like that. And then I got out of it and didn't get back into it until I was 22 years old.
So, yeah, like everybody else, you're a lifelong model railroader. So then when you got into broadcasting and you saw the ad for MR, it was like a perfect fit almost.
It was. The first 6 months, I'll tell you, Lionel, going there was like, you couldn't believe it. I mean, I was in heaven every day. I was on cloud nine. I couldn't believe that I was doing this, and they were paying me to play with trains. Oh my goodness, it was great.
And I'm assuming you moved to the Milwaukee area. Were you?
Yes.
Like, is that where you lived, or did you move to the Milwaukee area?
No, I lived in Tennessee. I lived in Knoxville at the time.
Okay. And so you moved up to the Milwaukee area and started working at the MR offices. And
right.
was that their original intention, was for you to come in and do layout tours?
They didn't know. It was up to me. They had some ideas and input, but I had to come up with formats and everything.
And so that was like, was that, you kind of went to them and said, I think what we should do is go around to different layouts and
yes, I recall. Maybe probably that's what happened. It's been so long ago, but it was a collaborative effort, I guess, too. I had some help there. I had
sure
ideas coming from Bob Hayden and Gordon Odegaard and various other folks, Jim Kelly
and
Sporandio.
And Russ Larson was he the editor when you started?
Yes, he was.
I'm going to ask you a really fanboy question. I apologize in advance for being such a fanboy. I am so excited. I've been doing this podcast for 8 years. And then a year or two ago, I thought, geez, it'd be cool to get Alan Keller on here, because I'm staring at some of the videos in my bookshelf right now in front of me. And also, of course, I see your videos on the Model Railroad Academy, which we'll talk about at length in a bit. But
okay.
I'm just like, oh my God, I'm talking to Alan Keller. Now, you and I had talked before many, many years ago, and we know each other. But yeah. I'm so excited to have you on this podcast, because you're just a huge part of model railroad history, and your videos are still watched today through the Academy. I mean, do you have any idea? I've been dying to ask you this question ever since I thought of having you on the podcast. Do you have any concept of the impact you had on the hobby?
Oh, I try not really to think about it, but I'm sure it was a big impact. It gave people who were casual model railroaders a chance to see what really could be done by really skilled modelers. And that's who I went to. I didn't go for average run-of-the-mill stuff. I went to stuff that was top of the line. Here's something to aspire to. It doesn't mean you'll ever be able to do it. Maybe you don't have the time, talent, or ability or money to do it. But this is what model railroading is or should be. That's what these guys are doing. They're moving the hobby ahead. They're working in new directions and coming up with different ideas about how to operate electronics, scenery, bench work, everything that they came up with. All the famous people that I tried to interview and make them look good.
Now, when you interviewed these people, I assume that you took some of their ideas and applied it to your own layout?
Oh, probably so. Not necessarily intentionally, but you know, you have something in your head, you've seen something, and maybe I joke about that a lot. I'm not so sure that I really did that, but I probably did. I can't really point to anything that said A, B, C, D, Joe did this, and I took it. You know, I can't really do that.
Yeah.
Is there now? Do you have a layout of your own?
Oh yes,
and
I've had I had a layout for 25 years.
And is there anywhere on the internet people can see it?
Yeah, it's on Model Railroad Academy. It's not listed by volume number, but it's Alan Keller's Bluff City Southern. It's on there. There are 2 videos on it.
Oh, okay.
One before it got completed. The last one is when it's completed.
Okay. So you go to Model Railroader, you start making these videos. You have the concept of you're going to, top shelf model railroads, ones that are really well done. They're, and you do 13 of these videos, and then what? They decide that it's not working for them, or?
Basically, they decided they were more in the publishing business than they were in the video business, because at that time they were buying up these telescope magazines and some kind of crafting magazines, Thumbshell News or something like that, and that was really their bailiwick. And it wasn't until later they decided, well, we ought to get back to video. 15 years later, that they did, and I think maybe that was they had a change in management there.
Can you hear us, Bruce?
I think we lost him.
I think we did. It's just as well because I'm being a complete goober anyways.
And I'm just looking at the Model Road Academy website. Yeah, you can one of his Bluff City Southern part 2. You can download it if you're a member on their website, but they got lots of good stuff on there. Like most of his videos are up there, and you can download them or buy a DVD copy of it, whichever format you produce. The download ones are a number of parts because they'd be monstrous things.
You sound like a complete goober.
Yeah.
I am so excited. I'm thinking to myself, it's Alan Keller, for God's sakes.
I didn't realize he'd started so long ago. I thought in the 90s or something. Yeah, MR was I guess one of the first ones into the video stuff.
I guess so. I couldn't have imagined. I kept thinking must have been 90, 92, 93, something like that, 89. Yeah. When he said 81, I just about fell off my chair. I'm thinking, 81? Like, holy mackerel.
42 years ago.
Yeah, 42 years ago. There was, and I mean, the videos had such a huge impact on the hobby.
Oh, they have. Like I say, though, I've downloaded a bunch of them, and there's some great stuff, and I bought some on some of the DVDs. Like, he's got 3 of them for George Seligo, so I bought those 3 on DVD, and Hayden's Carabassin and Dead River. I got that CD, and got a couple other ones somewhere, but I downloaded a whole pile of them.
Are they on CD?
CD, I mean DVD.
DVD.
So, yeah,
some of them are, I mean DVD. They're on DVD?
Yeah, a bunch of them are on DVD, or you can download them.
Oh, okay. And what's the quality of the ones on the DVD?
They're good.
Really?
They're pretty good, considering, they're, transcribed from tape and stuff like that, because originally shot, I'm not sure if they shot VHS or beta, but originally all shot on tape.
Yeah,
but they're good. Yeah, I enjoy them, and the format. They usually talk about the layout a bit, and they'll have some few interviews with the layout owner explaining concept, and then here's a trick I do and stuff like that.
Well, it's exactly. Great stuff. I mean, me personally, I think he changed the hobby. Maybe not changed it, but
he like he said when we were talking about, here's something you can aspire to. Well, that's this. Look, watch these and get some. Here's something that get some inspiration, get some motivation, and
absolutely.
You may not be the next Jack Burgess or Bob Hayden or George Selios, but there's always something there that I'd like that, and here's what I want to do.
I wish there was some place on the internet you could find like a complete list of Alan Keller videos. Like from the 13 that he did for Model Railroader to the 70 that he did on his own. I wish you could find a complete list of them somewhere. That sounds like
great. Well, on the on the Model Railroad Academy, they've got from volume 2 all the way to volume 67 up there. So it'd be the ones that are the layout visits are all there.
Okay, well, I'll have to sign up then, and then the list.
Oh, you can see that on the free stuff.
Oh, can you?
Yeah, if you go to that and click under browse, and then hit Alan Keller videos, and then.
All right, I'm doing that now. There it is, Alan Keller series. Special offer, premium membership, $3. All right, I'm going to sign up already. I just want to see it says here, follow along as industry pioneer. Alan Keller takes you to some of the greatest railroads around the world. Ride the rails with Alan Keller as he visits some of the best builders in their railroads. And then it says, Great Model Railroads Volume 2, 15, but then it says 15 videos.
That's because that's downloads.
Oh, really?
Yeah, a lot of these are downloads, and they're like 15 videos to that part because otherwise it'd be one giant massive.
Oh, okay. So Great Model Railroads number 2 is 15 different videos.
Yeah.
Okay, and then
that happens to be George Sellios Franklin in South Manchester Part 1.
Yeah, and then of course there's then Don Castler's number 5 is Don Castler. Number 6 is Dick Elwell. I wanted to talk to him about that. He thinks he's going to do this in one part.
I know, absolutely not.
Number 8, Grant Doug Geiger. This is like
Rick Rideout. The Cumberland Valley, the Reed brothers.
Rick Rideout's Alan. Yeah, I mean, this is like
Bill Freitag.
This is like a history. The history of model railroading is right here. Alan McClellan's
Jack Burgess of the Yosemite Valley.
Yeah, Howard Zane. Man, that's a fantastic one. Like how
Bob Brown, his layout, he's Mr. Narrow Gauge in industrial short line and whatever it was. Yeah.
I sounded like such a goober talking to him. I still got the record button because you know what? We're going to stick this in a variety hour.
Absolutely.
We're still recording because we're sticking this in a variety hour. This 15 minutes because obviously we've lost them and we'll have to start again. But
John Armstrong's Canandaigua Southern's on there.
No, is
Chuck Hitchcock.
Is John Armstrong's on here?
Yeah.
Wow. Harold Worth Wines Erie Railroad. They talk about that.
Model number 28, the Canandaigua Southern. That's a good one. I've got that one. That's a good one.
And what is the quality like?
They're good. They're good quality. Like I say, considering they're shot, back in the 80s and 90s and stuff, a lot of them on tape. They're professionally put together. They're good stuff.
Wow. I'm just speechless. I'm just I don't. I know that I don't think I don't know what to say next because I feel like I want to say I'm not sure Alan realizes the impact he had on the hobby, but and then at the same time I'm I'm so excited to talk to him. It's like I can't think of what question to say next because I want to ask him I want to ask him a question about every one of these friggin' videos because I remember
Ken McQuarrie's is on here.
Yeah, because the 80s was my golden years of model railroading for me. It was when it was 84, I guess, 85, 84. I built this house and specifically with one end of it specifically for a model railroad. And I mean, it was my golden years of the hobby watching these videos. I mean, I can remember when the videos came out, I was just drooling all over the place.
Absolutely.
And I mean, there's so many of them.
Yeah.
Guys, what's going on?
We're just filling a little dead time, but
we're filling dead time.
I know, but let's something happened. I stopped. I couldn't hear you, and you couldn't hear me, and then I could hear you. Anyway.
We just lost you.
Yeah. Could you hear us talking?
Oh yeah.
Could you hear me saying I'm a complete goober talking to you?
I did.
Well, I'm happy to admit it.
Okay, well, no problem, Blino.
Because I'm just so excited to talk to you about this because I think this just had a huge impact on the hobby. And, like with Bruce and I were talking that you can get them from Model Railroad Academy. And
they've got everything I did there on Model Railroad Academy.
And Bruce says the quality's pretty good.
Oh yeah, we shot that stuff on Betacam.
You did shoot Beta. Yeah.
Oh hell yes, we did the stuff for Model Railroad. Shot on 1-inch tape, which was the industry standard.
Wow.
At the time, yeah, it was edited on 1-inch machines and everything. Everything was high end. I didn't do any schlock stuff. There was no VHS around that at all, and there was everything was Betacam is not Beta. Betacam is a professional format that was used back in the 80s and 90s and 2000s. Now everything's on chips, of course, but that was the way to go at the time. Anyway, all the stuff is professional grade stuff, top of the line, state of the art at the time it was done.
Yeah.
So it's still quite watchable now.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And Betacam, a lot of the news channels, that's all they were showing. I remember my brother-in-law worked for a TV station in Windsor, Ontario, and their guys shot all their stuff on Betacam, and they bring it back in, and he'd edit it and stuff for the news broadcasts.
Exactly.
I really enjoyed doing the podcast. I've been doing it for 8 years. Talked to all sorts of people, but I talked to Tony. We did like 6 parts with Tony Cuss. I keep making the joke. Yeah, I keep making the joke that we're going to do one podcast for each one of your videos.
Lord. I don't think I remember enough about them to really do that.
Exactly. But
I mean, they all run together.
But man, what a huge impact you had on the hobby. And I'd forgotten that it started in the early 80s because I can remember, like, do you remember who the very first video was that you did for MR?
No, I don't. There were 4 on there, I think, 4 or 5.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you top of my head.
Okay. And then after you, so what was it that made you think to keep going on your own?
Well, I figured there was a market for it. And when I left Model Railroader, I went to work at a production company for a few months in Nashville and found out that wasn't quite my thing. And then I got a job working with Hopewell Productions out of Ohio. And he was doing prototype things and had been for a number of years. Rich Melvin, the engineer on the 765, he owned a cable company there at that time and had sold it and was using the money to start a high-end production studio with editing equipment and everything. So I joined him and helped him do prototype stuff. I did that, out back in the heyday in the 80s when the steam excursions were running everywhere. And then I got started on doing the first 4 great model railroads for Rich there at Hopewell. And so there you can find some of them on VHS with Hopewell packaging. And then in 90 I bought the rights to them and started on my own. And volume 5, Great Model Railroads, was the very first one that I did solely on my own. Rich was the cameraman and we had some other people helping us, but that was the first one. That was Don Kassler's M&K division of the B&O, if I remember. So that's how it got started. And then I went on from there, and I realized, hey, I figured out a business plan for this and say, hey, there's a way to make money doing this. And so I was able to make a living doing it for 25 years or so on my own.
You did it for 25 years on your own?
I did.
Wow.
I retired at the end of 2015. So I've been out for, almost seven years.
Right. But you did it for 25 years on your own.
I did. Yes.
That is cool. You and I had talked, I don't know, sometime in the 90s or something. Actually,
yeah, you called me. I had some question about something. I don't remember. I was working on the layout at the time, and I remember where I was working when I talked to you.
Yeah, and I was
working on a scene, Alligator, Mississippi. This goes way back. That had be in the late 90s, because that's when I had been building that. And so, yeah, I remember that. I don't know what we talked about, but
yeah, me neither. I don't remember what we talked about either, but I remember talking to you. And so that was the connection I had. But of course, then the years go by and I start the podcast and I just started thinking to myself, man, I gotta get Alan Keller on here, because I know like I'm going to be a complete fanboy and I'm not going to apologize for it, but I just feel like your videos just had a huge impact on the hobby through the 80s and 90s, until 2015, until you stopped doing it. I just felt like they had a huge impact on the hobby.
Well, I guess they did.
Yes,
I don't think about it. I don't think about it too much.
For your videos, when you're shooting them, how long of a process? Say you went to visit, we'll grab John Armstrong and went to shoot his Canandaigua Southern. How long would you allow for
every layout took 3 days.
Okay.
I had a format, and at the end I had a cameraman who was a former ABC News photographer, and he could move very quickly. Prior to that, I had guys who were production people who were kind of lethargic. But anyway, slow getting stuff done. But we would do 3 days. The first day would be devoted to audio work. We'd do the interview. I'd do an interview with him, about an hour long or so, and cut it down to maybe 30 minutes, 25 minutes. And we would do all the demos. We'd do 4 or 5 demos on different things that he wanted to do. And then once that was done, we'd do an open and a close. And that was the day one. Then the next 2 days, we did the operating train, which is the train that went around the layout and switched. And then the tour train, which was the train that went the opposite direction, that did not switch. It just showed you the layout with the track plan and everything. And that was my idea, to come up with that, to show you the layout from a low down view, if I could. Sometimes you had to be up high, but you would see the layout and not shoot off the edge of the world. I never shot off the edge of the world intentionally. That was my main rule. Don't show me the fascia. Don't show me the ceiling. Don't show me any of the floor. All I want is the trains in the scene. Anyway, then we would do both of those for the 2 days, and also what we call beauty shots. These were just pretty shots of trains going by something, and they would fit in maybe just to illustrate some of the interview. That's why I did the interview first. And so there'd be cover video for the interview. Also, cover video, sometimes we need a shot of something finished that he talked about in a demo. We'd shoot that too at the same time. So that's why it took 3 days.
Yeah. Right. And I like the way, I know when you finished product, where you mentioned the layout track plan, where you have the track plan up and, okay, here we are at this point in the video, and then continue on. So you kind of can follow along as you're going.
Thank you. That was the idea. Yeah. Thank you.
And so would sometimes, like, the person wouldn't have a plan and you'd have to help them draw up a plan? Or would you say like, you're going to go to somebody's layout, and would you send them ahead of time? This is what you need. This is what I expect.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a list of things that they needed to do, and yes, it was a whole list of things. And here's what we'll do, and how it'll work, and most people were very cooperative. And on the second day, everybody was very cooperative, because I wore them down on the first day.
Yeah.
If they weren't cooperative,
kind of like what I did to you.
Apparently.
So, was there a layout? Was there a layout that when you went into it, it just kind of blew your? I mean, the beauty of the whole thing is that you were an actual model railroader, so you knew what you were looking for. I think that's what comes through in the videos, is that
that was the key, Lionel. That was the key. You could have somebody else who was just a, TV person and didn't know anything about model railroading, and it's a whole different perspective. Yeah, probably the one that blew me away was George Sellios. Oh my God.
Oh, yeah.
Volume 2, the original Franklin South Manchester that he had back in 86. No, when was that? About 86, I guess. Anyway, yeah, that was something else. Of course, all of them were great, but that was particularly stands out. It wasn't much on the way of operation, but it was a beautiful, well done scene. Everything gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, and that wasn't even, the layout wasn't even finished at that point, was it?
Oh, no, I had to do 3 videos, and I wanted to do a 4th, but he let his daughter do something, and she was learning how to run cameras, and so he had his daughter do something with it. I don't know what that was.
Okay.
But I did 3 with him.
3 separate videos.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, indeed.
I'm speechless, Bruce. I probably
you've got to get some of these. I know you have some there, but you got to get some of these other ones if you haven't seen them.
Well, you know what the thing of it is I still have a VCR machine, because every once in a while I will pull out my one of my Alan Keller videos and watch it.
Well, cool.
Like I have the Franklin in South Manchester. I have the one the Allegheny Midland. I have Alan McClellan's. And I have a half a dozen others, and it's like I still pull the VCR. I have a VCR machine set up here in my office, and every once in a while I'll stick one in. And I mean, it was just that what you did was you brought the hobby to life in a whole different level that had never happened ever before.
Well, thank you.
And it's like, so, okay. So how did you get involved with Model Railroad Academy?
They were bugging me for years before I acquiesced, but originally, if you remember back, Model Railroad had a program called Dream, Plan, and Build, if you remember that.
Yes.
They were selling videos that they had done. They recut some of the stuff that I did, I think, and then they had some new stuff, and they got, I forget all what it had in it, but it was just lots of different things. And they bugged me, that is TN Marketing, the people that run the Model Railroad Academy. They also run a bunch of other websites that do the same thing, different kind of topics, woodworking and crafting and different things they have. It's a big
motorcycles.
They have motorcycles, okay, and they have one on guns and got all kinds of things. Anyway, I finally said, well, okay, you can excerpt some stuff from my shows, and if you want to put them in segments, and we had a time limit on, they could only run 7 minutes of something in those Dream, Plan, and Build things, because I was afraid it would cut into my regular business, and I was reluctant to do it, but it actually didn't hurt anything, I don't think. So I did that, and then after, when I retired, I said, well, let's see about doing something else, and they wanted to do the Model Railroad Academy, and that was in 2016 that began, and we worked out an arrangement to do that, and then they could put everything up there that they had of mine. They already had my videos on in digital form, and then they added additional stuff from other providers, but mainly it's my stuff that's on there, and that's how that came to be, because I had worked with them for years under the Dream, Plan, and Build thing, and started their own Model Railroad Academy with Alan Keller.
Okay, and so you were, so basically you were there at the very beginning of the Model Railroad Academy.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
that's how it started with my stuff. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So are you like a part owner of it, or just?
Oh no. They pay me royalties.
Okay, so I mean, these things are still paying you some amount of money as the years.
Oh yeah.
And did you stop selling them altogether?
I did, yeah. In 2015, I stopped selling them.
And why would you stop selling? Was it just a hassle to keep making them, or was the sales down?
Well, the sales had kind of petered off because I didn't have anything new. You have to have new stuff. Last new show I did was 2010, so I went 5 years without any new shows, and I kept making money, but I could see it, handwriting on the wall. You needed to do new stuff, but I really didn't want to do anymore.
Right, exactly. And there you are. I'm looking at you interviewing Don Castler. You're a fine looking young man.
Well, yeah, I was quite a handsome dude.
And I mean, you must have basically traveled all over the country doing this then.
Oh, I did. Yes.
And what would make you? How would you find there must have been probably in the very beginning, you probably had, I don't know, a half a dozen layouts where you went, yeah, I got to get to this guy, I got to get to that guy.
Yeah. Then after that, I'd see something that looked good in one of the magazines, Craftsman or Model Railroader, and then contact the layout owner and make arrangements with him.
And I mean, that was such an honor for layout owners to.
Well, that's the way they perceived it. Yeah, I guess it was.
Well, yeah, because it made their layout come to life.
Yeah, it did.
This is like talking to Gordie Howe or something, Bruce.
Yes. Well, I'm just looking here on Model Railroad Academy, looking at the ones I have downloaded because I wanted them. I've got a pile downloaded, and looks like I've got some on DVDs as well. But it's
well, yeah, and I'm looking at one from Don Castler's, and the quality is very watchable. Like it's.
Oh, it is. Yeah, absolutely.
It's like it's well worth. And I mean, the Academy. What is it? Do you know how much it is for the Academy now, Alan?
It varies. They have specials, like you've got a membership for $3. It's like $50 a year or something. I forget what it is, but it varies. They have specials all the time, and their hope is that you renew. That's where they make more money. They don't make any money on $3,
Well, sure.
A membership, but if you renew, then you get back at the I guess the regular price. I don't really know what the price is now.
Right, you don't get that involved in it now. For your layout, do you have like a Facebook page or anything for your layout?
No, I'm not big on social media stuff.
Hey, why don't we text? Do you want to become regular texting buddies?
I don't text.
I know.
I don't have a smartphone. I have a flip phone that I don't ever use. It's
really?
Yeah, I tried to call you with that today and didn't go through. My wife got home, and then she has a cell phone with smartphone.
Okay.
And so she decided to let you know.
So you're kind of you're kind of like, she's like, and so did she help you at all with this, or was she involved?
She was involved somewhat. Yeah, she would help me with. Sometimes she would critique things and have ideas, but mainly it was me. But yeah, she was a help, and she would go with me a couple of times. She did one after I was in a terrible car accident in 2001. In December, I was laid up for 3 months, and she went out and did volume 42. Cal Winters, I believe is his name, guy in Florida, East Coast and Miami area. She went and did that, and she came through with that flying color. So she had never done it before. She was just reluctant to ever appear on camera, but she did a real nice job. I was probably very proud of her.
Yeah, and so can we ask what happened with your audio accident? Or?
A car, a small truck sideswiped me. I was coming back from editing volume 41. Which was I can't think of the guy's name.
Florida East Coast.
No, that wasn't Florida East Coast. 40. That was 42. Oh well. Anyway, I'll think of it in a minute. I'll give it to you. But anyway, truck hit me. Bob Aldrich, I think is his name. Bill Aldrich, a retired Army general. Great fella.
New York, New Haven, and Hartford.
There you go. And I was working on that, and this truck hit me on the side and totaled my van, broke my leg, broke my femur, compound fracture, shattered my left knee joint, broke my right elbow, and compound fracture in my left arm and bone sticking out. So I was laid up for 3 months or so. And anyway, that was the story there. But I recovered from it. I still have some residual effects, I guess you could say.
Right. So
particularly in the weather.
Yeah. So, and then you ended up back in Tennessee.
I came to Tennessee in 95.
Right. Yeah. For some reason or other, I remember that you moved back to Tennessee, and I don't know why.
I did.
Yeah, exactly. You know what, Alan? I'm a lot better at interviewing people than I'm doing with you, but I keep saying, I'm just being a complete goober because I'm so excited to talk to you.
Don't worry about it. You can edit stuff. You can edit it and make it look good.
I can't make it. I've tried for 8 years. I can't make me sound good. Okay. So you said you were coming back from editing. Like, did you have a studio in your place, or did you edit somewhere?
No. I was editing in a production studio in Knoxville at the time.
Oh, okay, and
professional place,
because it was professional work, which is what made it work. Which made it work so good.
Right.
And how many videos? So you did it for 25 years. You did roughly 70 videos. So almost 3 a year.
Yeah. Actually 3 a year until I stopped in 2010. That's when I I had 5 years I didn't do anymore.
So it'd be like 3 days of shooting, and then what? It took you
a couple of weeks of editing, a couple of weeks to edit.
Right. And did they ever eventually start going out on DVD? Like, when did DVD become?
Oh, yeah. We started with volume 45 on DVD.
Okay.
And we went from 45 to 67 on DVD.
Okay. So let me ask you this question that I ask other model railroaders. I mean, what was it? So, I mean, basically it was 35 years from when you started with Model Railroader doing this to when you finished doing it on your own. But even if you say you stopped in 2010, that's 30 years basically. Like, what did you see can you think of how the hobby changed because you were seeing it all? Like, I mean, you were going from layout to layout.
Well, I could say, it got away from just building a model to building a scene. That was the first thing that people were doing. And then that got into operation as a result of that, because there was more stuff available, ready to run stuff that was actually good. LifeLock actually began to make good stuff. Bachman began to make good stuff. Finally, their Spectrum series and so on. And prior to that, those things had been, and then the brass stuff was never really good, but people still bought it. And then the bottom dropped out of that when all the great plastic stuff came along from Broadway Limited and other folks as well. So it changed in that respect. But then the other thing that changed was people got away from modeling as such. I mean, they're still doing modeling, but they got into electronic business. They were real interested in all the electronics that go with this stuff, the Arduinos and interfacing with the JMRI business and then digital command control, of course, all in that, and get away from the DC business. So that changed everything. And so people there, you see a lot more articles now on the electronics, which don't really interest me at all very much. I mean, I have to do some of it although I had training as electronics when I was a communications officer in the Air Force, but it's not my thing. I go more for the aesthetics of it, the pretty picture.
Yeah.
And train runs well. That's all I care about.
And do you do operations at all with your layout, or? Oh
yeah, we've operated the Bluff City Southern since about 1998, 99, something like that. Yeah. And I haven't really operated a full session in a year, but I got tired of it. But I'll get back into it. I have a few people come over and we run a few trains and piddle around. And right now I'm building a circus. I've always wanted to have a circus, and I have all the paraphernalia that goes into a circus and have saved it over the years. And so I have finishing up the big top. I've got it's almost done, and I've got a sideshow and a menagerie completed. And I have a separate diorama that is in my lounge area. I have a separate lounge area that people sit with chairs, for the operators.
And how big? How big did you say your layout was?
It's about 44 by 30.
Holy mackerel! Is there? And can you see the plan on your videos?
Yes, it's on my video. Yeah, sure.
Holy mackerel! I'm gonna ask you a question, because now I'm assuming you've listened to all of our episodes and some of them twice.
Whatever. No, I haven't. I'm sorry, but I haven't.
Well, I say that to everybody. That's just
okay. No, I haven't. I'm sorry.
I know you haven't. I don't think I've only listened to about one of them twice. But one of my favorite questions is, and you might be one of the perfect people to ask this question to, because you've seen so much. I think that's one of the things that I'm excited about to talk to you about, is you've seen so much of the hobby by going to all of these layouts. And
I guess you're right.
Yeah. And like, ever since I started this podcast, my mandate, it feels like it's become like, what is it about this hobby? Like, what is it that makes it exist and makes people so passionate about it? Have you ever?
Yeah, I have. What I think it is, Lionel, is people are creating their own world, and it's a fantasy world, let's say, whether it's based on a prototype or freelanced. It's what they envision something would be. This is how they would put together the world, perhaps. Maybe not, anything to do with religion or politics, that kind of thing, but just this is what they really strikes their fancy. And that's why a lot of people model what they saw as teenagers. And I guess that's where they first fell in love with trains. And so they're enamored of that and pursue it, I suppose. So that's why I think what the hobby is attracted to. It's got so many facets, as you well know. I don't want to enumerate them all, but there's so many things you can do in the hobby. It's not just like, collecting coins or something, although that's probably a good thing to do nowadays, gold or silver. But there's so many aspects of things that you can do that correlate into a finished layout, which is your objective. But not everybody will get there. Some people have been in the hobby for 30 years and they don't know how to operate a train. They've never done it. I have people come to the layout and they're dumbfounded by how to throw a switch, and they're model railroaders. Okay, well, you belong to the NMRA, you get model railroader, you get Craftsman, or you buy videos. You're a model railroader, but you really don't know anything. And they have to learn, but they're still a model railroader.
Yeah, I feel like model railroaders are it's like anything. I mean, like I always use the example of, I played a lot of hockey. I mean, Wayne Gretzky played hockey, and he became the superstar of the NHL, and I played hockey. We both were hockey players. We just had different levels of capability. His being much more man, and I feel like, okay, if you're a guy that buys magazines and you buy some rolling stock, but you really never build anything but a few models or something, you're still a model railroader.
Sure. Oh yeah, definitely.
I personally feel like with social media, that the hobby's growing like crazy. Do you have any sense of, as the years have gone by?
No, we're getting many young people out.
We're losing you again.
He checked out again.
I feel like this might be the greatest interview of all time.
Oh, it's just fascinating. Fascinating. Man.
With the internet kicking in and out, him being able to hear me talk about me being a complete goober.
Yeah.
I think this may be the greatest moment. This might be the greatest moment in AML history.
Great moments in AML history. Dun, 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 dun. Number 10. It's another Lincoln Homer.
I just can't stop sounding like a complete goober.
Well, it's fat, like the layouts he got to see.
Yeah.
Look at the list on the Model Road Academy. Like, they're all top-notch, well-known layouts, and like I say, the ones I've downloaded and DVDs about, they're quality stuff. And he explained why they're quality, because he's a professional shooting them on professional quality and editing on professional quality equipment.
Like here's one. Like you think about the cabbers. How do you just
Carabasset and Dead River?
Yeah, like that layout doesn't exist anymore. And yet
it doesn't. No, yeah.
Oh, he's back. He's back. We lost you.
I never went away.
We lost you. We couldn't hear you for a while.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
Yeah. So anyways, we got to the question about, do you feel like I feel like the hobby's growing like crazy. And then that's when you started cutting out.
Well, I'm not so sure that it's growing. A lot of people that are in it. I was division superintendent here for East Tennessee area for 3 years, and still go to the meetings occasionally. Well, whenever they have one, and very much involved in NMRA. I'm a life member. But all these guys are there, mainly older guys, and younger guys are in their 50s. So I'm not so sure. There's a club in Oak Ridge that has younger members, but it costs money to do this. It's not a cheap hobby, and young people don't have the money necessarily to build a layout or to build a nice room for it. You want a clean place with nice lights. You don't want it musty. You want air conditioning in there, and you want all the stuff that goes into a layout. You've got all that to think about, plus the stuff that goes on top of the layout, all that. So I'm not so sure that it's growing, but I'm not sure it's not. I can't put my finger on it. Hobby shops have gone away. Unfortunately, the internet killed them. Amazon and eBay and so many other things. Amazon makes everything so easy. But you need a local hobby shop. You need someplace to plug in to explain to a young fella or middle-aged fella or whatever what the hobby is. Here's what you can do. Here's stuff that's available, and you get started. And that's not there anymore.
Yeah. You should have a little YouTube channel. You should have a little YouTube channel where you do like little 2 or 3 minute videos, and it's Alan Keller, and it's, I don't know, whatever you're doing on your layout or anything, because man, I'm going to make it my life's work, as long as this podcast going, is to make sure that people understand who you are and what you did for the hobby.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
What about the Canandaigua Southern and John Armstrong? So when did John pass away, Bruce?
It was about 4 or 5 years ago, I'm thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a bit longer.
And do you remember what year you went to see him, roughly?
Oh, let's see. It would have been 94, 95, something like that, probably. Yeah. And maybe even 96. I don't remember. Yeah.
And
in the 90s.
John passed away July 28th, 2004. So,
okay.
Wow. So that's that's a while.
And what was John like? Do you remember your experience?
He was delightful. Oh, sure. He was a delightful fellow. Very charming, very witty, very urbane, very enjoyable to be around, very pleasant to talk to. You should take track planning advice from him, but never take scenery advice from John Armstrong. He didn't have much in the way of scenery.
Right.
And it was kind of lacking. He was still doing outside O-scale 3-rail, so he's back in the ball peen hammer days kind of thing. But he was a master of track plan stuff, and his layout was a gem of track planning. not necessarily great photo-wise, but the track plan was, what could you say? It was a John Armstrong track plan. It was great stuff.
So when you decided to go videotape his particular layout, was it kind of something, do you remember in your head where you're thinking, okay, he doesn't have any scenery, but he's John Armstrong, and this is a layout I have to get on video?
Exactly. But now he had some scenes, don't get me wrong, but I mean, they weren't really up to the standard of other stuff I'd been doing. They were fine, but most of it was unscenic. And so it's just the way it is. Did the best I could with it.
Yeah, no, but did you generally have a rule other than like the odd person like John Armstrong? Did you generally have a rule of, like of the layout had to be a certain amount completed for you to go and video it?
Yeah, you had to have at least 5 or 6 completed scenes that were about 6 feet long.
Okay.
I could do an hour show on something like that. If you had that, you could have in between, it's not finished, that'd be fine. We can make do. I did C.J. Riley's Volume 3. His I forget the name of it, C.J. Riley, but it was a strange place. And he lived in Pittsburgh at the time, and this was prior to the Pittsburgh Convention in 1995, I guess. No, 1990, yes, Pittsburgh Convention. Anyway, his stuff was not connected, and he had some nice scenes that looked good. Trains hardly ran. We had to push trains through shots and pull them through shots. But we got what we needed, but he did have some good photographic scenes. The layout was not connected together, so I had to explain how it go from here to there. Well, magic, you had to physically move it because he hadn't connected all the modules yet. And so that was kind of a challenge to do, but he was a well-known guy, and he had some neat clinics, demos, and the layout looked good. So it was okay. We did fine with it. I could make do with stuff. As long as I had enough to shoot, I could make it look good. And people said, "Oh, I saw his layout at the convention. I never would have guessed it when I saw your video. My goodness, it didn't look the same." I said, "Well, thank you."
Yeah, because the magic of cameras and the magic of
you control everything, with the camera.
And I think too, it's important for people to realize. I've probably already said it 3 times, but it's important for people to realize because of your professional background. You gave a whole new element. That's what made these videos so spectacular. Was the professionalism of them is what made them.
Thank you.
Well, yeah, thank you. I mean, what about Howard Zane's? His was pretty.
Oh wow! Oh Lord, yes, I did 3 with Howard. He was a delightful character. He had a little bitty layout in his house in Maryland, and it was and he expanded it twice. He dug out under the yard. He had the yard dug out and built more railroad. And he did that twice. And every time he was so fast, if he did anything, it was quick. And it looked great. Everything he did looked great. Scenery was unbelievable. Everything, the rolling stock, weathering, everything was gorgeous. Howard is a master.
Yeah. I mean, some of these layouts, like you say, he was a master. I mean, some of these layouts must have just been complete artwork almost.
Yes, his was one. Yes, Celos was another one that was artwork. Yes, indeed.
Did you ever?
What about Jack Burgess? There's one.
Jack Burgess was very nice. It was a small layout, but it was beautifully done. Oh yes, that was a gorgeous layout. Gorgeous.
Did you ever have anybody where you went to interview him? Layout was great and all that, but they just weren't talkers, and you had to kind of pry it out of them for the interview part?
Yeah, a little bit, but it wasn't too bad because one of the things, I had a TV talk show for 5.5 years, so I did interviews for a living, and I could talk to anybody most about anything a little bit. I have a broad knowledge about an inch deep, but I could talk about a lot of things.
Yeah, I
used to call myself a professional dilettante, but.
A broad knowledge about an inch deep. That puts me in the 1/4-inch range there, Bruce.
There you go.
I don't know.
What was your talk show about?
Current events.
All right.
News and whatnot. Things are going on in the community.
Where was it?
It was in Knoxville.
Really? And this would have been before you went to?
Oh yeah.
Well, how old were you when you got to MR?
Oh, I was about 38, something like that, maybe.
So you'd already had a very established career in the TV and entertainment business.
Yes.
And and you were a model railroader, and then this job stumbles into your life, and away you go.
Indeed.
And
Yep.
did you ever, like while you were doing these videos, did you ever do videos on other subjects? Like, did that turn into something where you started?
Well, I did when I worked for Hopewell. We did, we did prototype shows, steam trains chasing them, and that kind of thing, and so on, and put together quite a few shows there. I did a lot of those, wrote the scripts and everything, and did the narration. And Rich did quite a bit of it as well. Rich Melvin, my dear friend, and we also did commercials for some of the local businesses here and now and then. So yeah, we did a little bit of everything. But after I left there, I just worked on my own. I just did the model railroad stuff.
So which video? Do you remember which video sold the most?
Oh, I would probably guess. I mean, this has been a long time since I've looked at any numbers, but probably the Celios stuff.
Yeah,
probably would be the top sellers. But I'm not real sure.
Right, exactly.
I'm guessing.
And then would you make like as the years went by, would you when you would make 10 of a particular video, and then when it would sell down to like 2 left, you'd make another 10 or something?
Well, at the very end, we were doing them in small batches. But prior to that, we'd run 50 or 25 or 50 or so made at a time. And then later on, we got down to smaller levels.
Right. Yeah. And how do you make a video? Like, how do you, from the behind the scenes, like, how do you make 10 or 25 of a particular video?
Well, on VHS, you had I didn't do this, but a place that did the dubs for me, they had slave machines, and you'd put a tape in, put a master in, and all these machines would record, and then they'd check each tape, make sure it was good. That's how you did it. The same way with DVDs. Later we went to DVDs, similar kind of process.
Okay. What about
machines did it? Machines did it all.
Yeah. What about Ken McQuarrie's layout? Man, that must have blown your socks off.
It did. Yes, it did. It was like 7 or 6 or 5 levels. I forget. It was incredibly complex. It was overly complex in my way of thinking, but he enjoys it, so that's fine with me.
Yeah,
it was more than I would be interested in. Anyway, it was a nice layout, and his steel mill just blew you away. It was like 20 feet long. Steel mill, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I just visited it last summer, and
okay,
the levels and what he has now is just spectacular. Does anybody contact you and say, have you had anybody contact you in the last 5 years and say, would you be interested in doing a video? Or
I have one or two people, but I'm not out there, advertising where I am or anything about me.
Yeah, and you're not doing it.
I'm not looking for it. No, I'm not looking for it to do anything.
Yeah, because it's like, how much of the equipment did you own yourself?
I didn't own anything.
Really?
I own computers and printers and things like that I use, but I didn't own any equipment.
Okay, so you hired the cameraman.
Yes,
and he had the camera.
Right, and often the editing equipment, and he would take care of it, and I would write the script out, and here's where you do this and where you do that, and then give it to him, and then put it together.
And then wouldn't there be a process where, like, you must have watched the video first as you started to put it together, and what did you put it like in a machine?
Oh, Lord, yes, I watched. Oh yeah, I had VHS dubs of everything, and everything was time coded, and so I'd pick time code from this point to that point. And this scene goes here, and I'd write that into the script, and then something else happened, another point, another video, another section, and all that would go to the script, and the guy would just punch in those time codes and put those videos together like that.
What about the Rensselaer? Do you remember going to Rensselaer?
Oh yeah, I did them twice. I think I did once in volume 1 and volume 25. I think. Yeah, John Narek was just a genius. Oh, bless his heart. He made that place go. He was the guy behind everything that they did. He was the visionary for the Rensselaer Club, and they were in the magazines all the time in the 80s and 90s, and they were just talked about so much. They had a hobby shop.
Fantastic modeling that they did.
Oh, yes. They were just fantastic guys. And it was a delight to do their thing. I think they had to tear it down, if I'm not mistaken.
They lost their space, and they were supposed to be relocated somewhere. And I'm not sure they ever got relocated or not.
I don't know either. I don't know, Bruce. But I think the school was going to do something with the space they were in, or I don't know. Yeah. But that was a fabulous layout. Troy Runchelier, yeah. Mm.
And I did sometimes you were able to work it out where you'd hit like 2 layouts on a particular trip or something like that?
Sure, yeah. Sometimes it would, yes. Mm-hmm.
People need to belong to join this Model Railroad Academy just so they can start to experience these videos.
Yeah, well, for just like for $86 a year for the premium, when you can get access to all their downloads and stuff, it's.
Is that what it is?
I just looked at 86, and then besides all of Alan's wonderful stuff, there's all sorts of how-tos and things. Our friend Ron of Ron's Trains and Things used to shoot a bunch of stuff for them.
So much time can be spent.
I know, but I mean, like people need to. I'm looking at this.
It's worth it.
Oh my, worth it. Oh my God. It's like, I don't think, I'm sorry, Alan, but I'm going to have you on again in a couple of months because once I'm done with this and I manage to get a hold of myself, people need to realize that this is a great opportunity to see model railroads, some of them that are gone forever. And,
fallen flags, yeah.
And endless amounts of ideas for building model railroads. And I mean, like I'm looking at one now. Who am I looking at now? The touring the Union Pacific Cheyenne Division. Is that the fella in Arizona, Cottonwood or some place like that? Let me see. Let me go back.
Union Pacific Cheyenne Division. I can't think of who that is.
No, me neither. Let's see.
Is that Chuck Ellis? Is that Chuck Ellis?
Let me see.
I don't know.
No, John Gray.
Oh, John Gray. Yes. Yeah, he was a fascinating guy.
It's in a 46 by 26 foot building, minimum radius 30. That's the one I think that's in. Let's see, the upper and lower loop is in the Cheyenne one. Is that not the one that's in Arizona? Some of this stuff. It must be almost a blur to you at this point.
Yes, it is.
Man, I could. What we need to do is go through this list one at a time, and you give us your. How about Chuck Hitchcock in the Argentine division?
Oh Lord, Chuck was a great fellow. Oh yeah, he's had to tear his layout down some years ago, and go into assisted living, I think. But I used to see him at operating sessions around the country. And anyway, that was a great layout. The Argentine division. He had I did him twice. He did 2 variations, 2 layouts. One was the original Argentine, which was innovative at the time, all around the walls. And then later he tore all that out and built a layout that was in Kansas City, but it was the yards. And the whole thing was everything at yard speed, and it was interchange between various yards. The Frisco, the UP, I forget all who came in there, SP. Anyway, Burlington Northern, I guess. Anyway, it was all transferred between yards, and that was a fascinating concept.
And then you say you operated on a bunch of layouts. So you were this whole time you're being Joe Model Railroader, where you're operating layouts and going to operating sessions and the whole bit.
Yes, I belonged to the OPSIG for a number of years.
Okay, and that's good. And do you remember a layout that you enjoyed operating? Like,
I really liked Jerry Albert's layout in Ohio. He's got a really nice Virginia layout. I like that a lot.
So, did you operate on some of the layouts that you videotaped?
Not really, because we were just there for 3 days, and you don't have time to fiddle around and do anything other than get in and get out.
Right.
The clock is running on your bill. You're paying somebody all the time that they're out there, so you want to get it done and get away and get back home. So I didn't tarry.
Okay. Let me ask a question, and this is sort of a discussion we've been having lately with some people. The NMRA. What do you see in your mind are the advantages and benefits of being an NMRA member? You said you're a life member, and the only thing I can see is that the standards are the thing that they came up with that
go way back. People forget what it was like before the NMRA developed standards in the 30s, I guess.
In 1935, 36.
There you, yeah,
going,
I believe, yeah. And then they've upgraded things since then, and different, went to DCC, and then they got that, whatever that link is. I forget what they call it, but it's a electronic link that you can run your layout with somehow, something. I forget what it is. But that's God bless them, and it's a shame that they're continuing to lose members. It's I don't know why, but it's an expensive thing to join. I forget what it is. It's like $80 a year or something, and you get a magazine. I'm not sure all that, but I really don't know why. I would say everybody that's in the hobby should support the NMRA, because you get together with other modelers, and you don't know who these people are until you go to a division meet. And then you might make some friends there. They may ask you to come over to their house and play with their trains, or you go over to their house and play with their trains. And that's fun. And then you get together and do stuff and put on train shows or whatever you want to do, have swap meets or get the public in, So it's a great thing. I think the NMRA is a wonderful organization, and I would encourage anybody to join it. There's a lot of politics involved in the upper levels of it, but that's okay. You don't have to participate in that. You can just stay at the local level and enjoy yourself.
Bruce, we should figure out a way to get Alan on the NMRAX just so people could ask him questions.
There you go.
NMRA.
We can talk to our man Gordy.
Yeah, there's a fellow named Gordy. Gordy Robinson is the president now of the NMRA.
Yeah, the guy from England. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a wonderful young man. He's not young. He's 35, 36 years old. But
that's young.
Yeah, that is by my standards. But I'm trying to think, I try not to I keep thinking of my dad referring to me as a kid when I was 35, and I'm thinking, I'm not a kid, I'm 35 years old. Now I'm doing the same thing.
I know.
And, but they have this thing that they call NMRAX, which is a YouTube kind of live stream thing. And I mean, people would love to have the availability to ask you questions. I'm going to make it my life's work to bring you back to the forefront of the hobby. People need to realize what you did for the hobby. I mean,
you're awfully kind. I don't know.
Well, I'm not. You know what? I'm stating facts because I've been a model railroader my entire life. Had the opportunity to be involved with model railroader, write the column, had 4 or 5 cover shots, and I've been deep enough into the hobby to see it from several different sides. And let me tell you, you are a huge part of the history of this hobby.
Thank you.
You're a huge part of the history, and what you did by recording all these layouts. I mean, I realize you did it as a business and a way to make a living, which is fine. But while you're doing that, you ended up creating this library of history that I really don't think people realize, because it's been out of circulation basically, other than the Model Railroad Academy for the last 15 years. And, we need to point people to this Model Railroad Academy. And
please do. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm going to. Now,
okay. I've got another question for you, just looking at
let's need to wrap it up here soon, I think.
Not too soon. I got to well, you know what? We can wrap it up soon if you promise to be on again in a couple of months.
Yeah, I can do it again.
Perfect. Sure. Your logo. It's a great little logo. How did you come up with that?
Oh, I had a guy that was an artist in Ohio when I was working with Hopewell Production. He was right across the hall from us. He did a lot of graphic work for us, and I had him come up with it. He was a professional graphic artist.
You never got any flack from that other company that sort of had an alligator on their logo?
No, I never did. I know what you're talking about, but no, I never did.
Why do you have an alligator on there?
Because that was my nickname in college, Gator.
Oh, really?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's how it came about.
You're not Burt Reynolds, are you?
No.
He made a movie called Gator.
He did. Yes, he did.
Because if you're Burt Reynolds, you might as well just tell me now, because I'll find out.
Oh boy.
How about this, Bruce? Okay.
Well, answer. Why did they call you Gator?
Well, you don't really need to know that, but we won't go into that.
Fair enough.
Actually, we do, but we won't make you answer. How about that? Okay, Bruce, are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
This is going to be cool. So volume 37 is the Western Pennsylvania Model Railroad Museum. And I'm assuming you decided to videotape this model railroad when you saw it on the cover of Model Railroader magazine back in the mid 90s. And then you opened up the magazine and you saw this great photo spread of this layout, and you thought to yourself, I don't know who took these pictures, but I have got to, and who wrote this story, but I have got to videotape this layout.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Bruce, do you know who took the covers?
I know exactly who did it.
Yeah, look at that.
He's one of the three people we're talking.
Yeah,
the
streams crossed,
and it's not me, and it's not Alan.
Yeah, the streams crossed. I mean, I did a whole I did cover story for MR about the Western Pennsylvania Model Railroad Museum, and you did a video about it.
I did, because the pictures were good and everything was good with it. So I said, "Well, it looks good to me."
Yeah, there you go. Look at that.
There you go. Look at that.
That's right.
All right. We're going to have you on again and talked about.
Okay.
How about Lance Mendheim's Chicago, Indianapolis, and Louisville?
Oh, what a fine N-scale layout that was. Even at Christmas, yeah. He had the best water scene I'd ever seen. It was a ditch, a gully, dry. Well, I think it was dry. Maybe a little water in the bottom of it. But the attention to detail on the banks, the erosion. Oh, my goodness. The guy's a genius. Beautiful stuff. The guy's an artist, as you well know.
Yeah.
Yes.
Alan McClellan, did we talk to you about going to see it?
No, he didn't. But that's another great one. Oh, my goodness. You couldn't say enough good about Alan McClellan. He invented the hobby as far as I'm concerned. He changed everything.
You shot both his first layout and his second one, did you not?
I did. Yes. And we got his second layout before he was tearing it down. It wasn't finished. And so, of course, right. Alan McClellan, I made an exception. He had enough scenes, finished scenes we could shoot, but made an exception to go get it, even though it wasn't finished, because he was having to move into assisted living.
Right.
And tear down the layout that he'd just been building for a couple of years. Terrible shame. But it lives on in Jerry Albert's layout, the Virginian. He's got a section along the wall there of parts of the V&O. Yeah.
For years, I had a hunk of the scenery from the first, like a 1 foot square hunk of scenery from the first Virginia and Ohio on my layout.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay, last one I'll ask you about, then I'll let you go. Tony Custer. We got to ask you about Tony Custer, Allegheny Midland.
Oh, yeah, another super layout. Tony, wonderful guy. We were in business together for a while, doing seminars with Custer and Bob Hayden and Dave Frary and Henry Freeman. We did a lot of seminars around the country. Anyway, that's another story. But yes, Tony's layout was just fabulous. I loved it. Beautifully done. God knows, great stuff.
Okay, now Bruce, now I'm just shaking my head. I vaguely remember these seminars. What was that about?
It was the Model Railroad Skills Institute. We had it for about 4 years. After 9/11, that killed airplane traffic. We struggled on for a couple more years after that, but we had a great show. We had a good show, but we couldn't get enough people in the tent to make it worthwhile. We finally decided to dump it. It was we had more fun doing it, though. We had as much fun as they did. It was a 3-day intensive course on how to build a model railroad, everything you needed to know. We'd start from the basics of it and go all the way up and teach you everything you needed to know. And these were guys who were older. It was an expensive proposition for them to come because they had to fly to wherever it was, but
right.
The registration fee was not inexpensive. And we never made any money on it, but we had a lot of fun with it.
Well, that's the main thing, really.
And you were passing on knowledge, so that's that's.
Well, we did, yeah, we did that too.
It's a win-win. You're passing knowledge, you got knowledge, and life is good.
Mike Burgett's Chesapeake, in Ohio. When you first went to see that,
oh gosh, yeah, what a great layout. And Mike is just a wonderful young man. He's not so young anymore, but yeah, super guy. Super layout, beautiful thing, beautiful.
So do you stay?
I operated his layout before.
Did you?
Yeah, on and I got to operate on Jack Ozanich layout one time. And
yeah.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead.
No, we have a Jack Ozanich story.
Well, everybody does.
I love Jack. I love him.
I think he's passed on to the big roundhouse in the sky, though.
He's a couple years back.
Passed away. But I mean, I love Jack because my problem with Jack was he'd be my favorite time with Jack was he was chewing me out once, just chewing me up going up one side of me and down the other. and I couldn't stop smiling. And the more I smiled and giggled, the more he was chewing me out because he loved.
He took it all.
Yeah, he loved it.
He took it so seriously.
Yeah, he took it seriously, but he did it in such a lovable way. There was.
I never thought of that way. Okay, you say so.
Well, I scored.
All right, guys.
All right, you ready to go?
Yeah, let's wind her down here.
Okay. Well, it's been great having you, and
that's been my pleasure.
And the problem is now I have your phone number, right? So I can call you up and get you back on the show.
Yes.
So
we can do that.
All right. Expect a call from me in a few months, and we'll do this again.
Sounds good, Lionel.
All right. Thank you very much.
Good seeing you, Bruce. Take care. Everybody.
Yes. Thanks a lot, Alan. We really appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Plug Model Railroad Academy. Huh?
We will.
We will do.
We will.
Okay.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye. Well, how did that go? I'm still recording.
Yeah, it's man, what a fascinating guy.
I know. This is
we got to find out why they called him Gator.
Yeah. Well, I think he's Burt Reynolds. I think he's probably got a 77. He's probably got a 77 black Trans Am.
That's right.
Black and gold Trans Am.
Yeah.
What
a fascinating guy, and
I know.
Like we've mentioned it when we were talking to him. Like this Model Railroad Academy for $86 a year, go there and you have access to all the downloads of all his videos, and then you can buy some on DVD as well. But he's explained to us. I knew the quality was good from the ones I've seen and watched, and now I know why, because he was shooting them on professional stuff and doing a professional job. So. But yeah, well worth it. But and like you said, he probably doesn't realize, the 67 layout videos he's had on people who've seen one of these and go, wow, yeah, this is pretty cool. I want to try something like that. And they've gone ahead and done it, or they've heard about layouts and likely never visit them. But now here's a chance that in the hour or whatever the video is, that you can visit the layout, see what it's about, hear from the owner. Like I say, he does the tours. They usually got some tips and tricks that they show, but well worth it. But yeah, what an impact he's had on the hobby, and for 40 years now. That we find out.
I mean, you're talking to a guy that was like, I don't know, I can't even think of the right adjectives. The backbone of the hobby, or whatever you would say. I mean, did you hear him there when he said, I mentioned Alan McClellan, and he said that, he thinks that Alan invented model railroading.
Yeah.
Which is actually that's a good way.
Well, he he certainly kind of turned the page on all that back in the early 60s there, that this is a layout, and this is the way I'm doing it. And, he's influenced, Alan McClellan certainly influenced a lot of people. And, like when we were talking to Otto Vondrak, the editor of RMC, their 90th, he was saying that when they ran that series of the Virginia and Ohio of Alan McClellan's back in the 70s, that Jim Boyd was taking the pictures sort of like rail fanning layout. And I mentioned, well, in that there's an example of why Alan's layout was so great, because it was so plausible and realistic looking. You could rail fan, and that's what Jim did when he shot the photos.
Yeah, I mean, and while we were talking to him, I was looking at the list, of the layouts, and I mean, I loved it how I would say, "What about such and such a layout?" And he go, "Oh yeah, that guy," and blah 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 blah. And I'm thinking, and we only touched on like 10. I don't think I only asked him about 10 of the layouts.
Yeah.
What a goober I am. Like, I felt like
amazing stuff.
Oh man, we got to get him back on.
Absolutely.
Maybe then we'll have to actually have some questions written down. It's fascinating to me that,
well, there's a way to get questions, we can get to that in a minute.
Yeah, that's true. We can have people. Well, we should tell people that we started to do, we because he was, there was some sort of mess with the internet at his end. And so you and I were kind of sitting here looking at each other. So we decided, well, we'll do viewer mail number 102.
Yes.
And we literally did like 10 minutes of that or 20 minutes of that. And then all of a sudden, Alan Keller shows up.
Yeah.
So we ditched the viewer mail.
Oh, we did get some done, but
we're ditching that. We'll start.
okay.
We'll start again.
All right.
We'll make a proper show of that, but it was kind of fun. All of a sudden, we'll have a part of that in.
It's like when Bob Hope walked in on the,
exactly.
You hear the crowd applauding and cheering, and they look over. Bob Hope's come through the rainbow curtain, coming over to talk to Johnny.
I mean, we've talked to a lot of interesting people over the years, but somehow this was meant something to me special because. I mean, I just will keep saying it over and over again. This guy created, between what he did for Model Railroader, and I can't believe it was 1981 they started that.
Yeah.
So I mean, from 81 to 2010 when he stopped making them, he did it for 30 years, making videos of layouts. Now, we should be straightforward with people. The quality isn't the quality that you see today on video. But it's watchable.
Oh, yes, absolutely watchable.
And of course it gets better as they go through the years. And the thing of it is, Alan was such a great interviewer that there's lots of interaction with the layout owners, which makes it that much better. He's not a goober like me at all. You didn't have to.
Oh, sorry. Did I say that in my other segment?
Yeah. As the years go by, the layouts, like I'm looking at Tom Harris's Lakeside Lines Model Railroad. Like that's the thing I keep saying on the podcast anyways. This hobby is huge. It's absolutely massive. I mean, he videotaped 70 layouts, and like we say, one of them is John Armstrong. It's an actual, we talk about Alan McClellan, we talk about these people, and there's interviews with these people. This stuff should be somehow, you know what? I'm going to say to Gordy, somehow the NMRA needs to archive this stuff so that it's never lost.
Yeah.
I mean, even if they just archived the interviews of the individual layout owners, that stuff should never be lost. We're going to get Gordy on here and we're going to talk to him about that. And the NMRA could spend some of their money on that because this is stuff that should never be lost. It should never be let go. And I mean, there's no guarantee. I don't know what happens. There's no guarantee. Right now, it's all private.
If they could get copied of it in the NMRA museum, at least they got archival copies or something like that.
Yeah, because I mean, right now it's all privately owned.
Yes. And
until they make sure that they get a copy of it, that there's no guarantee that they'll ever have a copy of it, and they need to work on it because this is the kind of stuff that.
Well, yeah, it's the who's who.
Yeah.
Like if you've been in the hobby for some like the time such as we have, like you just scrolling through these names, it's like, wow, yeah, I remember his layout. Wow, yes, I remember that layout, and yeah, it's great stuff. Lance Minheim.
Yeah,
John Armstrong, Jack Burgess, Chuck Hitchcock.
I'm going to have
Ken
him on.
McQuarrie.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have him. You know what? We're going to have him on again, and I'm just going to start at the top of the list and just mention the name and let him. Because every time I would mention a name, he'd go, "Oh yeah, blah blah blah."
There you go.
Yeah, that's what we're going to do. We'll just have him on, and we'll just start. So we're going to have to do it. We're going to have to do an intro for this particular episode.
Okay, we can do that,
and we're going to have to close this one up.
Okay.
And
do that.
And I think I'm gonna make my own personal copy of this one and carry it around in my wallet for a while.
There you go.
His nickname was Gator. Well, of course.
I love that. I keep looking at his logo, and you go, all right, did he ever get flack from the other company that had the Gator in their logo? And he said, no, that's my nickname. I go, okay, well, yeah. How's that? So, well, you don't need to know.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. There's a story there somewhere, but there you go.
Well, and he's a bit of a character too. I mean,
he is. He's pretty good.
Yeah. I'm exhausted.
Wow. Yes.
I'm worn out. That might be the first video that's ever worn me out, or first interview that's ever worn me out.
Mm-hmm.
Here's somebody I don't even know who this is. and it's Tom Harris. What is it? What's the guy's name? Tom Harris's Spectacular Lakeside Lines Model Railroad. I don't even know who he is, and there's an interview with. I'm going to watch that interview, find out who this guy is. That's volume 67.
That's the last one he did, pretty much, isn't it?
Volume 60 was a Penn Valley Railroad, which was. Let's see, who is that? David, somebody or other. Doesn't say. It's David's fourth layout, anyways. Greeley, they have the Greeley, what's her name? Michelle Kempema.
Yes.
They have that as volume 65. What is it? The Colorado Model Railroad.
Colorado Model Railroad Museum.
Exactly. Long before Michelle ever showed up. That's a two-parter, that one.
Yep.
Mike Burgett's, that was like number 63. All right. Well, I guess that's it. I guess we're done.
All right.
I guess I'm exhausted. Okay, so can you give out our email address?
Yes, our email address. And send us emails because Lionel mentioned we wanted to have some questions for Alan. So if you listen to this and see some of this content or aware of his content, send us an email to modelerslife@gmail.com. That's modelers with one L, modelerslife@gmail.com.
And how cool was it that he did the Pittsburgh layout, and I was the one that did the covers.
There you go.
That was cool. That was exciting for me.
It was.
I can't see it. Yeah, I keep each time I'm scrolling through, I see other ones. Paul Dokos. We never even asked him about Paul Dokos.
No, Paul Dokos is another outstanding modeler.
I know. Golly. All right. And so if you didn't catch that email address, if you go to our website, modelerslife.com, and click on, scroll down just a little bit and click on the picture of the moderately agitated mailboy in a particularly agitated state, boom. The address is filled in for you. All you got to do is put in your subject line and your text, and you're ready to go. And if you like this particular podcast, which is on the free channel, this would be a great time for us to talk about our sponsor.
It would too.
Jason, I apologize because we'll talk about it in the intro. But I was so enamored by talking to Alan Keller, I never talked about Rapido products for one single second until now. But if you want some great model railroad equipment, rolling stock for your layout, you go to rapidotrains.com, and boom, you will be open to a wonderland of model railroading equipment.
And all great quality stuff, too.
All great quality stuff. There's RDCs, there's 44-tonners, there's the Dia,
some steam locomotives.
There's
freight cars,
complete trains, the RTL turbo liner, the Bay Area Transit train. There's passenger cars. There's vehicles like the Fruhoff trailers and the New Look bus.
The buses. He's come out with some cars as well.
Yeah, the Chevrolet Caprice Impala. That was a sweet ride from the
That's a cop car right there.
Yeah, from the 1980s. My father-in-law had one of those.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, basically a square car with tons of room.
Yes.
And it wouldn't really fly in today's world.
No.
I mean, it was a very practical body style. And they have all sorts, and they have swag. You can buy shirts.
Yes, you can buy some swag.
We never talk about their books.
He does have some books, yes, on the turbo train and that type of thing.
People Moving People, The History of Via Rail, Tempo, In Tune with the Times, Advanced Passenger Train, APTE. There's all kinds of books here, too. All right, so that's it. Rapidotrains.com. And tell them Lionel sent you. See if that helps.
Indeed.
I'm dying for somebody to eventually say that so we can see if that actually helps or not.
Okay.
see if they get an extra 5% discount. Or anything. Just hey, how are you?
Yeah.
Let's see. And did we talk about Patreon? No.
So we're getting to that, and then we said we should plug Rapido Trains, who are your fast track to model railroading fun.
Rapido Trains, your fast track to model railroading fun.
There, and I just played the jingle too. So yeah, if you enjoyed this podcast And I don't know why you wouldn't, because although it seemed very herky-jerky and very different, it was probably one of the most interesting podcasts we've done in the history of Modeler's Life. And if you like this and you'd like twice as much podcasting a week for just a few cents a day, if you go to our website, modelerslife.com, and scroll down just a little bit, you will also see a link to the Patreon page. And on that, this podcast is free, comes out every Monday, but on every Tuesday, for just a few cents a day, you can have twice as much podcasting every week. And that's what our buddy Kaylee Zhang calls it, the Ansix channel.
Yeah.
I call it more like the Front Porch channel.
Yes.
And that's where you can hear our viewer mail.
And speaking of like Front Porch, as we record this on the Wednesday of each month, there's the Zoom call that a lot of guys will get on. And as we're recording this, it's been going for a while, so there'll be some guys over there shooting the breeze about all things model roading and some stuff not model roading. So that's an advantage of being a Patreon member as well. You get access to that.
Yeah, I was just talking to our buddy, the Table Master, Scott Lister, and he was on there last Wednesday, talking to us. He said you were on there too at the same time.
I was on for a bit. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, Bruce.
Yes.
I was too embarrassed to ask.
Okay.
Alan. Have you ever wanted a T-shirt with a hot dog on it?
Actually, no, something I should do that one. I don't have a T-shirt with a hot dog on it, but so I would love a T-shirt and hot dog, and I would love for somebody to tell me how I can get a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
If you go to Midwest Model Railroad, and their URL is midwestmodelrr.com, and they also sell tons of Rapido stuff, you go onto their menu bar and scroll across the menu bar to Other, and click on that, and the drop-down menu, you'll see AML Shop. And if you click on that, boom, you're in a wonderland of AML merchandise, hats, hoodies, mugs, T-shirts, and in there you will find a T-shirt with a hot dog on it.
Well, there you go. The answer has been given, so I'll go there and get your T-shirt to hot dogs.
I think we've
mustard stains optional.
I think we've got it all covered.
Yeah.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I guess you have to do Happy Rails to You.
I can do that. And there'll be no singing and dancing or interpretation. I'll just say it.
Yeah, with enthusiasm.
With enthusiasm.
Yeah. Well, Bruce, as we close the bar,
this is strange. I've never done this before. I
know. Well, Bruce, as we close the barn doors on what can only be classified as an epic edition of a Modeler's Life podcast, and the sun slowly sets over the back 40, I guess there's nothing else left to do except for you to say,
Happy Rails to you.
While in Busted Knuckle, guests of a Modeler's Life podcast stay at the Casa del Sol Motor Court and Inn, where late-night dancing at the Rumba Room is a magical event to be experienced.
It's another Lincoln Homer.